Okay.
Wasn't sure if you were back or what.
Oh yeah, I just went out to grab some burgers. Test. Test. Okay, we're just waiting for people to show up. And sometimes that takes a couple minutes. All right, guys. So I don't have anybody actually active on the Hangout right now, but we've got a couple of viewers, so I'm going to bash on. Um, don't have any major announcements this week. Weekly challenge is going really well, and huge shout out to the following people. Let me just pull it up. So, Evil Anti-Peril, Christine Livin, uh, Britt, Rock on Cali, Miriam Cotton, Roga War, Roger, Pumpkin Pie, Perdicia, Alley Cat, PayPal, so Thomas, Quinn, Diane, Perry 26, Natalie Gold, Zoggy, Parallel Dreams, and Arthur Hunyar, and definitely last but definitely not least, Rage. So the intent of this challenge really is to just create consistency. We've got a group circuit training class going on about 20 feet away, so audio is a little bit crappy for me. Thomas, if you can just pop on and send me a little bit of audio here so I can make sure I can actually hear something.
Yeah, can you hear me right now?
Yeah.
You sound fine. I mean, I hear the stuff in the background, but it doesn't really bother me.
Sorry, can you say that again?
I was just saying, I hear the stuff in the background, but it doesn't really bother me. It might bother your end.
It's really loud?
No, I can hear it, but it doesn't bother me.
Okay. Let me just try to... Yeah, because I can barely hear you. So it's quite loud. But I don't have a lot to cover tonight. Maybe if you could use chat instead for your questions, because then I'll be able to read them. Yeah, thanks. Perfect. So this week, all I want to focus on is consistency. We're in week 4 or 5. I feel like it's week 5. The critical part here right now is just to keep doing what you're doing. So I'm getting a lot of emails from people, you know, most actually are positive. Most are talking about how good they feel, how much, staying active is having a great impact on their quality of life. Making the eating changes is helping with their energy. And so now it's really just continuing to do those things, and that's why the challenge. That's why I decided to do the challenge this week, was just to start to measure things that seem to make a big difference in people's in creating results. So, I guess that'd be the first question I'd be asking for. Well, I guess I've got Thomas on here right now as the only active participant. So if you want to just fire at me and let me know how the meal plan is going and how the training is going for you right now, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, and as far as progress with being able to do more reps, being able to... Yeah. So what's up with the knee specifically? The other thing, okay, well, this brings up... Yeah. Okay, that's a good point, because... And just so you know, too, well, one point that I've been meaning to mention, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but the idea being that, what's the best way to explain this? I really enjoy a lot of aspects of this job. Like, I enjoy understanding biochem, physiology, psychology. Yeah. But the number one thing that I like to do is to curate. It's to provide people with the best information possible. And I find a lot of coaches try to make this more of a they're always trying to make it seem like everything is their idea, and that's not really accurate. There are much more intelligent people than me out there producing all sorts of great content, and there's 3 steps ahead of me in every aspect because they're focused on one specific thing. So if I have a mobility problem or a prehabilitation or a post-rehabilitation problem, like an old knee injury or tight hamstrings, I'm going to look to a guy like Kelly Starrett, or I'm going to look to Donnie Thompson, or I'm going to look to a group of people that I know I can trust, and I'm going to, because of my experience, I'm going to be able to find the right exercise to fit the client, and then I'm going to grab that article or that video, and I'm going to put it in your face. Same with nutrition. Chris Kresser is a functional medicine guru, and all he does all day long is try to figure out why people are unhealthy because of their nutrition. And he has specific areas that he focuses on. Rob Wolf has specific areas that he focuses on, and there's a number of people too. So really, yeah, well, that's all right, man. But really, that's my job. I'm kind of the engineer, and this has actually been my whole life, has been basically taking other people's great ideas and applying them to the appropriate situation. And so that's really the value of a coach. It's not that these are my ideas, it's that I know which person to steal from, and I always make sure I give credit, but then I make sure that I deliver the ideas just in time to solve the problem that you're having. And I actually think that's probably the most important thing next to motivation and the psychological aspects of being a coach. I think that's probably the #1 thing that a coach can do. So there's my little rant on that. The other thing I want to address right now too is the addiction side of trying to change behavior and change nutrition. So we've got, we get some pushback too from people that say, I'm having a hard time changing my nutrition, and the reasons are not, they're not because of, they're because of psychological issues. They're because people have, they get a payoff from eating certain foods, and when they try to change, the body literally fights back. And a great example, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Leaving Las Vegas, where Nick, Nick, the guy that keeps getting all the work in Hollywood, even though he's not that great of an actor. Nick, help me out here, Thomas. Cage, thanks. Nicolas Cage. He tries to eat something and he throws up. And we see this all the time with carb addicts, where they're trying to eat more proteins and more fats, and they're complaining that it's making them, yeah, he probably would be a really cool dude. They're complaining, though, that it makes them physically ill to eat these foods. And so my best advice to those people would be that you do not want to try to follow the meal plan full bore. You want to try to work your way in. I actually posted another meal plan that was a little bit more of an intermediary step. It wasn't a full bore paleo approach, and saying that I'm not actually like a hardcore paleo guy. I don't believe in the whole meat and vegetables and no carbs thing. But the second meal plan that I posted was really meant to help people find something they can follow to change a few things about their digestive system without feeling like the meal plan is just a huge list of things that won't happen. So, and that's because getting over a carb addiction can be incredibly challenging. So, and I sympathize with that. I understand. I've worked with people one-on-one. I've spent, 12 years going over this type of thing with people, and it is very hard, and there are setbacks, and there are times when you feel like it's impossible, but it's not. And once the changes start to happen, they almost happen in a snowball type way, where things start to get easier, and when they start to get easier, that gives you hope, and then you push harder, and things get so much easier, and then one day you look back and you go, I can't believe that I had so much disbelief that I'd be able to change my eating habits. So that's one thing with the nutrition. Training-wise, we introduced a new exercise this week called the crane. It's also called the one-legged Romanian deadlift. I like the crane better because I kind of just feel like it looks like a crane when you do it. And there's a lot of benefits to this exercise. Now, first thing I would say with that exercise is that it's really great to do that one without shoes on. And the reason why is that if you can think about this, your foot is, thank you, yes. I know, I try to make a lot of sense. But if you can think about this, your foot is actually your kinesthetic ear, if you will. What I mean by that is that there are all these nerve endings on the foot that tell you about how your body is positioned. It's interesting to think about the fact that the guys that study humans in the past, anthropologists could tell when humans started to eat too many grains because the way they displaced their mass when they walked changed. And they stopped putting their weight on their heels and they started to drift forward, mostly because they were acquiring too much mass in their stomachs. Namely, they were actually getting grain guts, and they were starting to, their center of gravity was starting to shift towards their toe. So that's kind of hilarious. But the other thing about the foot is that it sends all sorts of nervous impulses back up to the brain. And if you have a shoe wrapped around it, you're literally wrapping earmuffs around your foot. So you're deadening the sensory input. So if you can actually get barefoot when you do the crane, that's a very good idea. The other reason why it's a very good idea is one of the benefits of the crane is to strengthen the muscles of the foot. There is a very popular idea, and it sells a lot of orthopedics, that the foot, because it's ligaments and it's bones and it's not a lot of muscle, is incapable of change. And if you have flat feet, there's nothing you can do to fix that. I can tell you with absolute certainty, because I've literally changed people's arches, that that is bullshit. And that's not just me saying that. That's a number of very well-established physical therapists, such as Gray Cook and Gary Gray, who are both best-selling authors that have written about mobility and function. And they both talk about improving the foot arch complex. And one of the ways that we do that is we take away the support structure and we ask the foot to what we call propriocept, or control the rest of the body as you do the crane. So if you do the crane and you try to create the tripod, which is the pad, so the pad that is right next to your big toe, and the pad that's next to your baby toe, and then your heel, that's the tripod. So that's known as the first metatarsal, the fifth metatarsal, and the calcaneus. And that creates a tripod. And through that tripod, you're actually able to control your body when you do the crane. Now, a lot of times when you go to do a crane, you'll notice that your pinky, the pad underneath your, like not actually the pinky toe, but the pad of the sole of your foot, where your pinky is, will actually start to drift up. And that's a problem, and that's because the ligaments and the nerves and everything around your foot is not functioning ideally. And if that's happening when you go to run, or when you go to squat, or when you go to deadlifts, you're going to have a problem because your lower leg is actually going to internally rotate, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on your knee. So the crane's a good exercise for that. The reason we haven't introduced it up till now is because there's no point in introducing it till now, because you don't know how to bend correctly. Once you learn how to bend correctly through a deadlift, and you do that for 2 weeks, then we're able to actually break that down and do a one-legged movement and really work on the foot ankle. So that's why we introduced the crane this week. The other benefits of that are It's really good for improving hip mobility and strength through the hip. And we've got 3 clients right now that are having hip problems, and we have put up a series of hip mobility drills from Donnie Thompson and Kelly Starrett. But this is more of like a, once the hip's starting to work better, let's start introducing more challenging movements so that when you go through your daily routine, you don't experience problems. So that's the crane. The next thing I want to talk about is progression from now. So next week we're going to be introducing full deadlifts. We're going to be introducing front squats. We're going to be challenging the push-up. Probably going to be introducing some bench press for those people that have access to a bench and are able to do weight lifting exercises as opposed to body weight exercises. And so we're going to be basically taking the movement patterns that you've learned, and we're going to increase the difficulty. And the reason we want to do that, obviously, is to continue to get results. So, yeah, stay tuned for that, I guess. There'll be more information about that. The next thing I want to say is that we put all of the the Fortius and the Mulginor workouts onto a website, onto my website, because I stole that idea from somebody else. Because it was actually quite challenging to package the workout into a Fitocracy workout and deliver all the information I wanted to deliver. One of the reasons was the Fitocracy app kept changing, and every time it would change, we would lose all the instructor information, and we would just be left with the sets, the reps, and the exercise. So I kept having to republish the workouts, so that was really frustrating. So now if we have on my website, on thomlamb.com, THOMLAMB, we actually have a Fortius and a Mulginor article that explains the concept behind those 2 workouts, and it also has a link to all the YouTube videos. So it's a lot easier for people to go on there and figure out what they're doing, and then go into the gym with the Fitocracy app and then follow it. So okay, so great question. So if you've fallen behind, yeah, that's a really good question. Let me just stop and think about that for a second before I answer it. So the intent is really to start from the beginning and work your way. I'm not stumped. I'm just taking my time to give a proper answer. But the intent is really to start from the beginning and work your way through the steps. So just because this is week 5 or week 4, and I'm sorry I don't remember which week it is, it's written down on my to-do list, but the whole point is to go through the progression as it is written. And that is actually why we are putting the article on the thomlamb.com, because the challenge is that in Fitocracy, I can send you guys individual workouts, but I can't send you what we call a microcycle. And what a microcycle is it's a workout plan. Okay? And this comes from Russian terminology. And I'm sorry, I like to get into deep explanations of these things because I feel it's important, and I feel like you'll just ignore me if you're not interested anyways. But if you are interested, you'll listen. So in the Russian system of training, we have a macrocycle, which is a training season. Yeah, well, the Spetsnaz actually, don't even get me going on Spetsnaz. You should try playing rugby with those assholes. Anyways, so yeah, see, now you get me. Yeah, they're crazy. So the point being is that most of the fundamental system that I follow is based on a lot of research that was done in the 70s and the 80s by the Russians to develop a really good sporting system. And one of the ideas that came out of that was the idea of a macrocycle, a mesocycle, a microcycle, and the individual training session. And what this means is macrocycle defines like a year of training. A mesocycle would define a month or 6 weeks. Meso just means medium. Macro means big. And then micro means small. Would be the week-long or the 10-day-long training program. And then the training session would be something like Fortius or Molginor. And so in the Russian system, we would organize the workouts in a microcycle. So we'd say, okay, this week you're going to do Fortius on Monday, you're going to do Molginor on Wednesday, and you're going to do Fortius again on Friday. And then next week, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So how we progress is on week 1, we would do Fortius 1, Molginor 1, Fortius 1. Sorry, no, we would do Fortius 1 3 times. Then the next week we would do Molginor 1, and then we would do Fortius 2, and then we would Molginor 1. And then the next week we would do Molginor 2, Fortius 3, Molginor 2. Okay? So you see how we start to progress. And then we introduce new workouts once the skills that we were trying to master inside of those first 2 workouts were becoming very well established, and we wanted to come up with new exercises that would still work on the same patterns but would be more advanced. So the problem is that Photocracy doesn't do a really good job of explaining that. So that's why we've moved over to using my blog to provide more information about that. Where that came from was I've got another group that I train powerlifters with on Photocracy, and immediately it became evident that I needed to show them some spreadsheets so they'd understand how things were progressing. So it was a really interesting development. And so now, long story short, I know that was probably an 8-minute answer, but what you want to do is you just want to work your way at your own time through the program that we've given you. So if you've already done a workout, if you've done Fortius 1, and then if you had to take a week off, you do not want to just go up to Fortius 2 because you probably want to hit Fortius 1 again to make sure you're still comfortable with that. And then you move to Fortius 2 after you feel like Fortius 1 is pretty easy. Okay? So as soon as I say that, I realized that I actually took some of the workouts off to keep things simple. So I took Fortius 1 and Fortius 2 and Molginor 1 and 2 off so that people wouldn't have to try to figure out which one they were supposed to follow. So for you, Thomas, and for anybody else listening, if you still want access to those previous workouts, let me know and I'll send them to you. Okay? I'll tell you right now, too, the other thing about that is, like, for my own training, and we get this a lot, too, where people feel like, you know, I should... Yeah, okay. So what are you at right now with your workouts? Okay, so yeah, if you're doing okay with the number 2, and the other thing you can go into, if you want to have access to a previous workout, you can go on tracking and you can look at your previous workouts and you can pull them up and copy them. Okay? Other than that, I don't know if I've got anything else I want to cover today. Okay, well, we're at 8:30 and I'm going deaf from dance music, so unless you got anything specific that you want me to cover, I'm probably going to shut her down. And yeah, so yeah, that's totally perfect. So Monday, Tuesday, then Thursday, Friday, Fortius and Molginor. Next week we actually have what are you guys scheduled for? Sorry, I'm just going to pull this up really quick to check. I think you're scheduled for Miyagi, and you're scheduled for 2 new workouts. And they are They're on here somewhere. Kind of got a huge... Oblivion and Miyagi. Yeah, so next week we're going to introduce some front squats, some bodyweight pull-ups. Not pull-ups traditional, like not pull-ups like this, but actually from where your body is actually parallel to the ground. More cranes. Cranes are actually a hugely beneficial exercise. The other thing, and it was funny too, I just had a client an hour ago, like a in-person client, come in, and one of the things I really would like to start doing with you guys is just firing out some mobility work at least once or twice a week. Just extra credit, stuff to help deal with the sitting position, because this is something I've observed working with regular clients, and now online I'm seeing the same problems where people are sitting all the time. And if they could just do like a 5 or 10 minute workout that wasn't really demanding, it was more stretching and mobility to help improve and correct the ills of sitting, then I think that would be really beneficial. So I think I'll put something together, a quick little workout that you can yeah. So that's, we'll have a little mobility thing that we do, and we can break that into upper and lower body. And other than that, I don't think I've got a lot I need to cover. Oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. So that the Art of Manliness article, I think I published that on the feed too. That's actually really useful. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just take that and a couple other little things I like to do, and I'll throw that onto a photocracy workout and send it to everybody. And I don't know if I can think of anything else to cover right now. I guess I'll throw down this just because I'm online and I might as well. There's been a couple people that are really having a hard time with avoiding carbs and with dealing with carb addictions, and that's been stressful for them. And it's important to understand that you're going to experience a lot of emotions, and you're going to hear a lot of negative thoughts in your head that are going to tell you things that aren't true. People have incorrect thoughts all the time. For centuries, we believed the world was flat. Everyone had that thought in their head. And then one day, somebody discovered that it was round. And I think that guy actually got, I don't know, clubbed to death or stoned or something. What was his name? Copernicus? I don't know. Anyways, I think it was Copernicus. Thom probably knows. He's a graduate student. He should know that kind of thing. I think it was Copernicus. No. Anyways, regardless, the the guy that discovered the world was round. Oh, he thought the sun revolved around the world. Yeah, right. Okay, well, I guess I don't know who the guy was. I feel bad about that. Anyways, my point being that thanks. Yeah, me too, actually. It wasn't Kepler. Kepler actually discovered all these laws of motion of planetary bodies. But so my point being that you have a lot of thoughts in your head that are incorrect, and they're also keeping you in the place you are currently at. And so sometimes I will post videos and rants that will actually upset you, and they will actually make you feel a little bit pissed off. And it's not my intent to make your progress from where you are to where you want to be harder, but it is my intent to redirect your path on to a path that will lead you to where you want to be. And that is not always the most pleasant of experiences. And so I do apologize for everyone out there. No, it's not Pythagoras. That was the guy that was like a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? Anyways, you know what? We'll figure it out later. My point being that I want you to all understand that I would not do this job if I didn't actually genuinely care about people's health. I'd probably be, I don't know, selling stocks or writing computer code or something like that, believe it or not. But instead I'm here and I'm actually very interested in helping people to overcome the challenges that they're trying to deal with to get healthier. And so, yeah, immaterial. So please, just when I'm giving you a hard time and I'm trying to push you in a certain direction, please understand that that's just me not allowing you to talk yourself into failure. So I don't know if that made any sense. It's late. I've been at work for about 12 hours now. So, but I'm still trying. All right. And I appreciate that you guys are trying really hard. And I also appreciate that we got 78 points so far this week on the challenge. That was kind of amazing. Some of the effort that I see from people to try to, to just try to make changes and learn more things, and the inquisitivity and just the effort, I really appreciate, and I find it very inspiring. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for that. All right, I'm going to shut her down and follow up with a few things that I promised people. And everyone have a great evening. Thank you. Bye.